What an update we have for you today from the Disneyland Resort. Bad news from Little Mermaid. Great news from Downtown Disney. Incredicoaster is back. Haunted Mansion, Tiana's Palace, and this thing on Main Street. Actually, let's take that back to the Esplanade, where we have another similar Pixar Fest decoration out there in the center of the Esplanade. I like it better out here than I do on Main Street, which we'll look at again in a minute. But this is for Pixar Fest. It's some kind of mobile with a bunch of Pixar characters and the Pixar ball there. Happy Pixar Fest, everybody. When I arrived at Town Square, I was hoping it wouldn't be there, but there it is. You know, it's not even the sculpture itself. I'm sure, like I said, from the Esplanade, it's fine. It's just here. Here at Town Square, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work here. It doesn't belong here. It's just not right. I'm sorry. You know, I love Pixar, and I love colors. I love bright colors, but it's just not right here, man. I know some folks are probably going to say something about the soil, too. They took out all the flowers, but I don't believe that's a permanent situation, and neither does Disney. New plants will soon be installed to display fresh color, Pixar color, I'm sure. It's 2024 Pixar Fest. The good news is this is just about it. It's these and those medallions and banners that we've seen on Main Street, and that's about it. There's not a lot more decorations. I was expecting more, especially at DCA. But here on Main Street, again, I don't know, man. I don't know. Quick, we need to change things. Stat. I need to reset the timeline. We'll go look at City Hall, which unfortunately is still covered in scrim. Though scrim is back up, so we can't see what they're doing. But there you go. The Disneyland Fire Department is finished. They have completed the Disneyland Fire Department. No scrim, no scaffolding whatsoever. This part is done. Just like we know it, looks the same inside, and in case we didn't mention this before, the bell is back. Let's go to Adventureland next, where some new walls have popped up over here on the right-hand side of that entrance into the land. I believe this to be just an extension of what they've been working on next door with the restroom, although unrelated in one sense. I do think it's still plumbing related. Wanted to stop by the Jungle Cruise real quick to see if there's any update on what they've been doing with this scene, the tiger scene. But no progress, no visible progress. And what they're doing is happening behind those walls, I assume. And I say that because when I first saw this, I thought, okay, this is the new scene. But I was told that is not the case. They are doing something back there. But I have seen zero movement, and it's been months now. Zero movement on the tiger scene. So I don't know. I don't know what they're doing back there. And here we go. Tiana's Bayou Adventure is next. We're looking at the top of the mountain from the Adventureland Treehouse. Normally we find something new here just about every week from the top of the mountain, but this week I feel like, I actually think like the top of that mountain is complete. You'll notice there's no scaffolding on the crown of Tiana's, so I have to think maybe they're done here. Obviously, where the scaffolding is there next to that little outcropping of rock, you can see some green surface there where they're still waiting to go to the next layer. That, you know, it just looks like, you know, fake grassy paint kind of thing. Obviously, that's not done, but this, I think we might be done there. Is that wild? That there's parts of this mountain that are actually done? Yeah, see that? There's definitely more surface to be applied where that plain green areas are with no vegetation on it at all. Before we climb down this tree, let's take a quick look. I like to peek my camera in here now from the treehouse to see if there's any change in the surface in the courtyard and Mount Gracie, which does not appear in this picture. That looks pretty level, and they've got, it looks like they're getting ready to do something. There's Mount Gracie, although it's maybe a third of what we've seen in the past, and that's a giant pile of debris there. A lot of cut pipes and conduit, all kinds of garbage just piled up there, which is also a good sign, if you ask me. Some black tubing in the back for conduit or sewage, perhaps, one or the other. That's very exposed concrete right there, though. But I do feel like they are very close to moving into the forward improvement phase of this, as opposed to the demo phase. They're definitely, I think all that is done. I think they've completed what they're doing below grade and are now going to start working on updating the site. On the ground, Tianas Bayou Adventure, trees, and they've added the Spanish moss now. This actually, the trees have been, they've added, there's more, they're taller. Does that not seem taller than it was before? Taller, more leaves, more branches, and more moss. You know, we showed you last week those the wrapped bundles on the other side of the mountain, and I wondered what those were, and a lot of people pointed out they were moss, or the bundles were indicated moss. And while I believe that it's likely, they were, to be more direct, because you can see, just look at the texture of those branches right here. They were moss, but they were the branches with moss on them. This branch right there in the middle, for example, I feel like that's exactly what we were seeing poking out of that yellow bundle. So that's what we've seen. They're all over. They have added so many branches and so many leaves and just a whole bunch of moss all over this mountain. There's another one. That tree is certainly more full than it was last week. A couple of new small little shrubberies have appeared. Also, I think I see some mesh down there. But yeah, 2 new shrubs up there, and they look great. And we're going to see more of that kind of, develop over the course of the few weeks. It doesn't look like much. It never does look like much through all the scaffolding and by themselves. But all of these things start to become in the aggregate more than the sum of its parts. Stay tuned, by the way, because we're back at Magic Kingdom this week. Sean, our correspondent at Walt Disney World, was back in the park with some footage from Tiana, so stay tuned for that. We're going to see how they're pretty much done. They're damn near done. Notices, emails went out to websites and social media, etc., for people who are, being invited to the media premiere. And that's going to happen on June 9th. There's going to be a media event on June 9th, which means that the opening of the attraction should follow, I would say, probably within a week of that, perhaps. Meanwhile, we'll take a peek at the top of the drop. I still, even though we got another light on this week, again, unable to see what they're doing here. But I will observe that piece of steel that we were looking at last week is gone. No idea where it wound up going, but that was probably just on its way somewhere. Last week we said, hey, the scaffolding's down at the turnaround, and they were getting ready to patch up that wall. Well, the scaffolding's back. My assumption is that they're not done patching up that wall, and they got to put those lights back in there, in those little nooks that you can't see now because they're covered up by. One thing that I noticed this week that I haven't noticed in past weeks, although it certainly was the case, is where that vegetation is, where the foliage is there, they've cut out a little trough along the edge. Now, I don't know if that's they're just going to replace that with soil, but I want to think that it could be perhaps additional theming. They're going to add something that's a little bit more swampy, which is a word that we've been using a lot lately to describe this mountain. But it could be that they have plans to add something along that line. But I would say at least they're going to fill that gap up with something like soil or what have you. We also noticed this little new development back here, this little rocky area, I am now going to predict that we will see an animatronic in that spot. That's going to be somebody's nest or home eventually. And we're going to see one of the new animatronics pop up there. What that is, what animatronic that'll be, I don't know. But guests are going to see that guy, I believe, waiting for them as they make that right turn around that corner after the drop. Stay tuned. I can't wait to see if that actually happens. Yeah, so all those yellow bundles are gone. They were on their way somewhere last week. This week they have arrived at their destination. Branches with moss on them. And here's our view from the ground over by Hungry Bear as of this week. There's a... There they go. There they go. I'm pretty sure that's the same crew that we saw doing this last week. I love this. I love this. Guys, we're watching them make this attraction. I don't know if we can really appreciate that in the moment, but in 5 years, 10 years, we're going to look back on that and say that was really, really cool getting to watch them do that leaf by leaf. Once more, no news to report from the front of Tianas Bayou Adventure Hill salt mine. Same thing on the back, although I did find some materials stacked up here on this scaffold. I'm going to assume those are roof shingles. They're going to start applying that to the roof. I'm not sure which structure, not the entrance. Perhaps, oh, what's that? Versa Shield. None of that is in English, so I can't read it. It looks like French. But I would imagine they're going to apply that to the old ride photo building. Looks like Tiana's tunnel has moved on to an additional phase. They've added some steel there along the right side. And look at that. There's something along the roof. I am unable to tell what that is. Along the length of, the peak of the roof line there. That's interesting. What is that? Oh, and what is that? See that right there? Has that piece of mountain been demoed and then are they putting it back together again? What are they adding there? That is very curious. So that's Tiana's Bayou Adventure for now. Let's get on the Mark Twain and see what's happening at the Haunted Mansion. And there's Mount Gracie. Certainly not as tall or big as we've seen last week or the week before. So that must mean that they're putting dirt back. And that is a good sign in terms of forward progress. Nothing to see here. Oh, look. Oh, that's cool. Those are the steps to the Disneyland Railroad. All of that foliage has been taken out, which I thought was beautiful. I hope that they can restore that. But the foliage that is on those steps in that area leading up to the train is beautiful. But no luck. That is a huge hole. That is a giant trench right there, right? Because the fence, take a look at the bottom of this fence right here. That's the fence that separates New Orleans Square from the Disneyland Railroad. Where that gap is, where that opening is just about, I believe, where the disabled access ramp is. That's ground level, which means everything that we're seeing down below that has been dug out. Whew. Okay, so maybe we're not as close as I'd hoped we were. Oh, sorry, we got one more view to catch of Tiana's Bayou Adventure. And again, I must say, I'm really looking forward to seeing how this looks from here. That scene is going to be something, when they light that up, stay tuned, by the way, because we have an image of how Tiana's at Magic Kingdom looks at night when it's lit, because they finished the lighting package. My God, you guys. It's beautiful. It's so beautiful. And I'm expecting to get something that approaches that at least here. That would be great. You guys are going to be so impressed with the lighting package. the concrete there at the, where the boats first make their right turn, that U-turn towards the lift hill, that concrete has gotten its layer of green surface. That means they're about ready to go to the next step of applying foliage, swampy foliage, to that surface there. We have bags of something there. What are those? What's in the bags, I wonder? There's no way we can tell. But, oh, he's got it. Well, that guy had a bag of it. We couldn't see what he was doing with that, though, unfortunately. So there you go, guys. That's New Orleans Square, Tiana's, and the Haunted Mansion. We'll go to the Fantasyland next, where once more there's nothing happening. But I did want to stop and get some breakfast in my ongoing effort to eat everything at the park. We're working on a whole bunch of food videos. It's a long process. But, part of my process was trying the pancakes at Red Rose Tavern. I mean, who doesn't love a Mickey pancake, right? That might have been the worst pancake I ever had in my life. Forgive the impromptu food review here in the middle of our construction report. There's nothing happening here in Fantasyland anyway. But I had to cut through that pancake like it was a top sirloin. Man, that was chewy. On our way to Toontown, we'll say hi to Geppetto and Pinocchio. That's so great. I love Fantasyland. Quick stop at the Fantasyland Theater where they're installing the walls. This is starting on Friday, you guys. This is starting in a couple days. They put in the wall out here in front of the... This is going to be the Pixar Playtime Theater. It's kind of a kids thing, kind of like a Tomorrowland dance party situation there at the Fantasyland Theater. Here's where we got an update. We're going to go to Downtown Disney next, courtesy of the monorail. And now this is something that this is a new development here, that we've been watching them put those forms up, but now we can see a shape developing on that ground. Again, this is not going to be guest facing. This is not show, but I'm curious just the same what it is that they're up to back there. As for the Parkside Market, lots more steel. I can barely see what's happening. You can see that they've installed the roof for between the first and second floor there. There's shade and darkness down there where there was nothing but light before. This is moving rapidly. Parkside Market is. From the ground, we're getting to see quite a bit here. And we're starting to see some of the character, some of the outline of, how everything's going to be set up a little bit. From here, we can kind of predict what's going to happen here. Like, that's Sip and Sonder right there. This area right here is going to be an outdoor lounge. It's going to be covered, but open air. And it'll have a view facing the bandstand that's out there in the grassy area. Din Tai Fung, you can see that they're starting to build a structure that is going to finish off the top of that dining location. And then as we move our way down to Downtown Disney, where normally I would check in on the current status of Paseo and Centrico and Tiendita. And on this day, we have no more updates, no more progress reports from Centrico. The walls are down, which is great. You can do a complete lap around it. Very grateful for that. The walls are down. It's open on both sides. It looks open now. It does look open. They were doing a soft opening for friends and family. And there's Tiendita. That's going to be the quick service version of that dining location. It's going to be, grab and go. You place your order at the kiosk here, and then you just pick it up. And it's good. They're going to have tacos to go, etc. Same tacos that you would get at Paseo and Centrico, I think. Moving around the backside of this, this really looks kind of wonderful, you guys. I was wondering, how could they do, what was wrong with the Uva Bar? It wasn't, it was nice. It was fine. What more could they do? Well, apparently a lot more. I feel like this is such an incredible upgrade to Uva Bar, and I feel bad for saying that because, I liked Uva Bar, but this is nice. You got a little fire pit out there. I love the theming. I love the shape of the bar. It's not a circle. It's more of an oval, a long stretched out oval, which I like. I enjoy that. It's very nice. The vibe in here was great. And then as I was walking around, there was a cast member who said, "Hey, are you hungry?" And apparently they were doing they were demoing, they were testing, they were training, doing some live testing for the bartenders and the restaurant staff, obviously. So they said, "Come on in, we'll give you a drink, get you something to eat." That's a mariachi in Manhattan. That was tasty. Here's a look at I think this is the menu that they just had for us at the time. I believe there's going to be more to the menu now. There you go. That's what I got. The El Mariachi in Manhattan. There's tequila and bourbon. I don't think I've ever had that before. That is the shrimp aguachile, which was amazing. It was so good. I don't know if I can't recall being delighted so much by a new experience, because I've never had anything like this before. And I love it when I'm able to discover a flavor that I've never had before. Amazing. This place is great. And I'm not even saying that because I got to say hi to Chef Carlos, by the way, whose face we've seen on these on the walls out here, the construction walls, for months on end. But my compliments to you guys. It was better than I expected it to be. We're gonna come by here and do like a full taste testing. We'll do Paseo and Tiandita as well.
Yeah, baby.
But early results are in, and very good. So there's just a few more odds and ends at the park, really, and that's going to Little Mermaid. The walls went up for a few weeks out there at the entrance to Little Mermaid, and the speculation, the assumption was that they were building a Fast Pass, a Lightning Lane scanner for Genie Plus, and sure enough, that is exactly what has happened. There's 3 scanners there, gently themed to Little Mermaid. The top part of it is a standard scanner, but the bottom base obviously is grotto themed. And then I wasn't sure if they were going to have room. I thought my initial speculation when we first heard this news was, yeah, they're just going to split the path on the way in. That was just one path previously, and they were going to split that, and one side goes to Genie Plus Lightning Lane, and the other side goes to Standby, and that the Lightning Lane would be mixed at the door. But then they moved it over to the other side, and I'm like, well, why did they feel the need to do that? I don't know. But that is exactly what's happened. You got stanchions down the middle, Standby's going on the left, Lightning Lane on the right, and then Lightning Lane will enter at the door. And while I hate Lightning Lane at Little Mermaid is the most unnecessary thing ever in the history of theme park operations. The most unnecessary thing ever, and the most obvious cash grab ever. I don't have any trouble saying that. What made it worse for me was, moving that entrance. So at least now, guests can use this proper entrance. At least now, when you walk up to Ariels Undersea Adventure, you aren't greeted by a cast member and this sign telling you you can't come in. You got to go all the way down the other way. At least now you can keep going into that building and use this building as intended. But I still hate this. And I still hate it at Pirates of the Caribbean too. If you're looking for signs, if there's any kind of connection between this and Pirates, I never got the feeling that this update to Little Mermaid was temporary. I had always believed it to be permanent. I mean, it's official now. It's absolutely permanent now. That's official. But I never thought that it was temporary, whereas at Pirates at Disneyland, Disney said this is just until they finish Haunted Mansion. We'll see. They said it, they put it on paper, they put it in print and told people this. So hopefully they stick to that. Because I would hate it if that stayed the case at Pirates. And that's our report from the Disneyland Resort. Our correspondent at Magic Kingdom, Sean, is back. Adventureland Dad, you can follow him there. He is taking us on a ride on the monorail once more through Epcot Center. Let's enjoy this for just a moment. It's been a while. The reason why we're riding the monorail is to check in on the progress at Communicore Plaza. This is a new development that's been ongoing for years. And there's our current state. This is going to be, this outdoor area is going to be an entertainment area, kind of like downtown Disney a little bit. Those lighting instruments there you see, well, look, oh my gosh. All of that staging is done. They're gone. Did they finish? You guys, the last time we looked at this, there was so much to do still, it looked like, but this looks done. You've got concrete done, the grass is done, although it's not real grass, I'm sure. Is that done? What about the Spaceship Earth themed design around the buildings? I don't see any scrimmer scaffold there. No scaffolding anywhere. Fantastic. So those gaps aren't... Oh, there's some crew in there. So there's still crew in there, but I think they're doing electric. Or something like that. These are finishing touches. They're not installing the texture, the theming texture on the outside of the building. So those gaps are intentional. I wasn't sure if they're going to close all that up or not. There they are again. Yeah, they're installing something. On that... Oh, it looks like a fan. Oh, yeah, it's one of the blades. It's a fan blade that they're putting on right there. Captured. Oh my gosh, I want to go to Epcot. Okay, so I think we're planning a trip. I'm hoping that we're going to do this. I'm hoping we're going to go see the Tiana opening in June, and we're going to try to make a day for Epcot as well, at least. Because I need to see this. Man, I miss Epcot so much. Still don't know what it is they're building here, but whatever it is, they're still building it. I want to see what this... By the time we get there, that'll be done too. Let's go to Magic Kingdom and look at their status on Tiana's Bayou Adventure. This is from the Disneyland Railroad. That's the queue in the entrance building. That's what maybe our barn structure will look like in the future. They're adding... Oh, look at that. Yeah, they're adding all the lighting instruments and probably speakers. There's supposed to be some music playing throughout because there's going to be a radio playing, era-appropriate music as if it's being broadcast over a radio, which I'm really looking forward to hearing that. I don't know, man. That looks pretty great. I don't see very much scaffolding here either. No scaffolding in sight on this side of the mountain. Oh, there's the Critter Co-op. Is that what that says? Yeah, Critter Co... Oh. They've got the exteriors. Oh my gosh. Thanks, Sean. That's great. You get some window. You can buy the vegetables from Tiana's Critter Co-op. Get some green peppers. All right. Some advertising for some of the shows that are happening there. They're turning this part of Frontierland into Critter Country. Lots of critter theming there, and this looks to be near done right there. They just got to finish the landscaping. Wasn't this concrete last time we were here? You guys, seriously? Wasn't this just all dirt and concrete? Where did those trees come from? Man, this is all in the last couple of weeks. They're adding some doors down there. You got a guy down there, a construction worker, putting on a door. There's a lizard on that rock right there. There's a so what is it? It's April 21st. Media preview June 9th. That is a month and a half from now. Just a little bit, a smattering of scaffolding on that mountain there. Otherwise, it looks to be done. Here's the turnaround after the drop. And while this doesn't look like much right now because it's, there's no water in there and it's daytime. Have you guys seen the images that have come from Blog Mickey at night? And by the way, this is not from Disney. This is just a guy with his camera taking these pictures. So these are not professionally done. You can't tell me that doesn't look great. The purples and the reds and the greens. Top of the mountain there with the water flowing. Also notice how there's water everywhere. which goes a long way to adding to the aesthetic, a swamp aesthetic. We're not going to get something as complete as this, unfortunately. Where the boat track is, right there in the middle of those two bodies of water, guests are going to be walking right there. Guests are going to be walking on the other side of the fence at our Tianas Bayou Adventure, so we don't have as much space to complete that setting. But we are going to get something. It just won't look as complete as this, unfortunately. There's the frogs on the log there. Tiana's water tower. And we'll get back to the mountain, where there's definitely still crews out there. They're still doing work to finish things off. They got a little bit of a ways to go still. But they're close enough where they can predict the date, which is great. So it's mostly just finishing touches, and getting all the T's dotted and the I's crossed. Can't wait. One more stop, and that's to look at the DVC tower at the Polynesian. That has not come as far as Tiana's or Epcot have come in the last few weeks. This still looks just as utilitarian as it has in the weeks past. Still looks like a hospital. Staying positive, though. That's our update this week, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. That was fun. That was really, really great. One of the more entertaining updates this week. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please do consider joining our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/freshbaked. You can follow us on Instagram at _freshbaked, on Twitter at freshbakedisney, that's fresh with no E, and on TikTok at freshbakedisney. Until next time, thanks for watching, everybody. We love you. Be safe out there. Be kind to one another. And fresh baked.